There's knocking coming from my bathroom mirror by Kuzenbo. Blackness. The cold pressed against me first. Bathroom tiles slick, unyielding, unforgiving, chilled my spine like a morgue slab. My eyes snapped open. I was sprawled across the floor, skin clammy, drenched in sweat, so thick it glued my shirt to me. The sour sting of bile burned my throat, my beard stiff, crusted with vomit. And then there was the knife. Still in my hand, still clenched, white-knuckled, as though my sleeping body had refused to let it go. Another bad dream? Another sleepwalking episode? I didn't know anymore. Half of me wanted to laugh it off, the other half wanted to scream. What I saw, or thought I saw, already slid through the cracks of my memory, like water down a drain. All that was left was me, alone, on the tile, in a dim, yellow-tinted bathroom that felt less like a room and more like a waiting chamber for something I didn't understand. I forced myself up, joints aching, head ringing like a church bell. I cursed under my breath, cursed myself for being so broken that even my conscious and unconscious selves were at war, my mind sabotaging me from the inside. I tossed the knife back into its drawer, staring at it for a beat too long, silently begging it to stay put this time, to stay quiet. It was 6 a.m. Too early. Too wrong. But I dragged myself into the shower anyway, letting the scalding water burn away what little numbness I had left. Another day. Another battle to survive Van Erie, Iowa. Once I had purpose. 8 years of service. 8 years of discipline and duty. Now stripped away by hands outside my control. Now, I'm just another burnout. In a dying town, just another dishwasher. If it wasn't for Stan, I wouldn't even have that. Stan, old friend from high school, kind of guy who still wore his Letterman's jacket in his mind, if not on his shoulders. When I told him my parents had cut me off sick of my drinking, he didn't hesitate. Gave me a job at his bar Huggies. Not glorious, not noble, but work. Huggies. Stan always called it the classiest joint in town. He said it with a grin like he almost believed it. To me, it was just a rotting dive. But even I had to admit, it was never dull. A carnival of regulars, farmhands still caked in field dust, local girls chasing a free drink, truckers trudging through dreary Erie. And then there was old Rick. Rick was different. Nobody knew how old he was. Every time someone asked, he dodged, laughed, or fed you some ridiculous number, like he's keeping it a private joke between himself and God. But I could tell. I knew. He was like me. A man of service. You can smell it on a veteran. The weight they carry. The silences that stretch for too long. Rick was the closest thing I had to family here. He was my therapist, whether he knew it or not. Told him about my dreams, the voices, and trusted him to forget them, swallowed by whiskey and age. By the time I got to work that morning, Stan was already polishing the counter, eyes fixed on the flickering local news. Rick was slumped at the end of the bar, face hidden in his folded arms.
Well, look who finally decided to show up.
Stan's tone carried irritation, but not malice. Sorry, Stan. Rough night. He sighed.
It's fine, man. But you gotta work on it. This place can't run on good intention. I need you sharp.
I dropped my eye to the floor. I couldn't meet his. Won't happen again. I drifted past him towards the kitchen, brushing Rick's shoulder as I went, just checking if the old man still had a pulse. Hey, Rick! A grunt. That's all. Alive, but barely. The day bled into itself. The clink of glass, the reek of bleach, the endless cycle of wiping and scrubbing. But every mirror I passed caught me, held me. My reflection stared back at me like it knew something I didn't. Like it might blink before I did, or step out of sync. Shame used to be the reason I couldn't stand my reflection. Now it was fear. Fear of a name. Villaville. The word crawled through my skull like an insect chewing tunnels. It whispered. It waited. Stan dug out early to pick up his daughter from his bitch of an ex. Even me to close up alone. By midnight, the place was dead. The last of the trucks had stumbled back to their rigs, leaving only silence and cigarette smoke. And Rick, who had migrated from the bar to the booth in the back, mouth open, head tilted like a corpse propped upright. I almost let him be. Almost. But something gnawed at me. What if Rick could help me understand? I grabbed a half-drank beer from a nearby table, tribute for the old man, and shook him awake. He stirred, groaned, and loosened a burp that could have stripped pain. Hey, Mikey. His eyes rolled until he found me alone in the bar. Guess I overdid it again. He laughed at himself, saw the beer in my hand, and grinned with a broken, toothy smile. You gonna finish that, brother? I handed it over, but leaned in. I need to ask you something. He downed the beer in one practiced gulp. Shoot. Ever heard of the name Villaville? In the service? In dreams? Anything? For the first time in all the years I knew, Rick went quiet. Really quiet. His eyes narrowed. Can't say I ever heard the name, but dreams. He nodded to himself slowly. Dreams are a doorway, kid. Places where the dead and unborn and things that don't belong slip through. Sometimes they show the future. Sometimes they show you something worse. He put his hand on my shoulder, his grip surprisingly firm for a man that drunk. Next time you see this Villaville, don't run. Talk to it. Find out what it wants. Might be trying to warn you. He stood, wobbling, and I helped him towards the exit. Thanks, Rick. Be safe, old-timer. He chuckled, already half out the door. Anytime, kid. Just make sure the beer's cold next time. The door clicked shut. And there I was, alone again, my reflection staring back at me from the bar mirror, its eyes locked with mine. And I couldn't tell if I was looking at myself or something waiting to take my place. While walking home, I couldn't get what Rick said out of my head. Dreams are a doorway. The phrase looping like a curse. Normally dreams were nothing but twisted visions of my worst fears. A place of suffering and confusion. But if this Villaville was real, if he was here to answer my prayers, maybe this was more than madness. Or maybe I really was slipping. Maybe I finally drank so deep from Rick's cracked bottle of nonsense I believed him. Fuck it. I muttered under my breath, earning a strange look from a passerby. What's the worst that could happen? Look like a fool in my own home? Once I got back to my apartment, the silence felt heavy. Oppressive. Took a shot of whiskey for courage, wincing at the burn. Started searching ways to supposedly dream with intention. Half of it was garbage, half of it sounded like it belonged in some dusty occult manual. Still, one thing stuck out. Repeat what you want until your mind gives in. So, I dimmed the lights, the candles I had saved for a date that never happened. Shadows clung to the corners of the room, quivering with the flame's breath. I lay flat on my back, heart already pounding, and began to chant in my head. Villaville, hear my prayers. Villaville, hear my prayers. I whispered until my voice cracked, until the words blurred into nothing but rhythm. My eyelids grew heavy. The liquor dragged me deeper. Darkness pressed down. Then, I shot upright. Clock on the wall, glue, 3:30 a.m. sharp. The sound came again, measured, patient, not angry hammering or something trying to break in, but careful knocking of someone waiting. I reached the bathroom door. The same eerie purple glow leaked from the crack beneath it, brighter this time, pulsing like a heartbeat. The door itself looked wrong, swollen, warped, as though the wood was breathing. I stood frozen. My mouth was dry, palms slick. Every part of me screamed run. Instead, I lifted my knuckles in with one trembling motion, knocked back.